On this week's episode of Three Cups and a Dash of Spirituality, we are going to be talking about why we'll never give you the lottery numbers. Hey everyone, it's Michelle from Three Cups and a Dash of Spirituality. As you can see, I forget we're doing this video part, but I'm here today with Stacy.
Hello, everybody.
And Carissa.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. And we're coming to you with our lovely earphones on, trying something new, and our microphones. And today, if this wasn't enough to laugh at us about, we are going to be talking about making fun of having spiritual abilities, or people we encounter that maybe are a little uncomfortable with the thought of, and they use humor. That's the way I'm going to look at it, rather than just asking questions. So again, hi, everyone.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, are you reading me right now?
Oh, that's going to be a total component.
That's perfect.
Of
that's
this
what people
episode.
are thinking. That's what a lot of people are thinking.
Do
You're
we
a
want to
psychic?
start
What
with
am I
that?
thinking?
Do you hear my dad talking to you?
Do you see dead
No.
people everywhere you go?
No, it's called boundaries.
Yeah. It's called having ethics and knowing that, we're not supposed to be reading you unless we have your permission.
Did you know I was going to call?
I knew we were going to record this podcast today.
Oh, you shouldn't have been using your psychic abilities.
I know, or my calendar.
You didn't get my permission. You have to get consent. But let's talk about the ethics on that.
Yeah.
I would love to. So,
Okay.
Michelle, you talked about ethics, and ethically, is it okay to walk around and try to figure someone out and tap in to see what's going on with them in their life and who has passed away? Not without their consent. It's not.
Yeah, absolutely not. Because, well, there's so many different reasons. The first one popping into my mind, and maybe I'm using my intuition, maybe I'm not, is you don't know where someone is on their journey and whether or not they would be open to a message. You don't know who this person coming to you was to them, and it could be a trigger. So you don't just walk up to somebody in a park, in a grocery store, in a restaurant and say, hey, I have a message for you.
Hey, your ma's right here with me. You want to talk to her? Yeah, not appropriate. Not appropriate at all. Here's the caveat to that, though. I know for me, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this, some information does come through, and we do get information. Now, the ethics piece then is, do we share it?
Not
And
without
my
their
answer
consent.
exactly is typically absolutely not. If I get information from somebody that I know and they have not given me permission to read them, give them information that comes through or anything along those lines, absolutely I am not sharing that information. It's more like you step into somebody's energy, you know that they're fighting with their significant other, and you can feel it and you know it's there, and you're like, whoo, that's a hostile relationship right there. And you don't go, so let's talk about your relationship.
And one time this happened. So first of all, if someone who's passed away, asks me, hey, there's my daughter over there, could you go get this message? I will turn to that spirit and say, you need to set things up so she finds me or another psychic. She needs to get the consent. One time, so I'm a supervisor here in the state of Texas. I was doing my triadic supervision, and I was taking one of my interns into like a meditative place, and her mother came through. Oh, I had an intuitive notion to say, hey, tell her to turn right. Well, I didn't know who it was. She said, turn right. It was her mother. The next time we met, I said, listen, I've been thinking about that. I really apologize. I didn't know your mother was telling me to tell you to turn right. I thought it was following my intuition. I really apologize. Ethically, this is not okay. And she said, actually, I do still have contact with my mom, and she even just telling me, leading me to my next supervisor, post-grad, all that kind of stuff. So that did happen once, and I made sure to go in and apologize because that was out of my awareness.
So let me ask, I know what it feels like for me, but what does it feel like to you when you're out in public? Because you can't always just tap in, but information is coming at you. What does that feel or look like to you? And how do you balance that living your day-to-day life? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great question. Carissa, do you want to dive into this one first?
So every morning I've talked about this, I tap in with my guides throughout the day. If intuition comes, if it's for my highest good, I listen to it, I follow it. I'm 80% I'm following in the flow every day, unless the human shit hits, right? 80% I'm just in the flow. And so I'm not being bothered by it. If in regards to crossing over work, that's when it becomes work. That's where I set up my boundaries and say, no. Did I answer your question though?
Kind of, because I was just recently visiting my hometown and I didn't have a lot of downtime. And people kept coming up to me and saying, oh, could we do a reading? Could we do a reading? And with all the noise around me, I couldn't focus in enough to even be in that space to give a reading. And I acknowledge that and hopefully didn't hurt anybody's feelings. But when I'm in public, like I see a lot around me still, but it's hard to tap into that information for me coming in when there are other people around. It's too much noise.
I see what you're saying.
So me personally, I see things in two different ways. So the first way I see things is when I meet people, I see things vibrationally within them. So immediately know if I'm going to connect with somebody, if it's going to be a good relationship, I immediately know like this person is safe or this person is a good life choice for me, whatever that means. But I see everyone that way. So in a way, I have to so if I walk into a crowd and there are hundreds of people here and I see everybody vibrationally, I have to kind of imagine myself wearing a cap so I'm not so overwhelmed at seeing so many different vibrations, so many different people, and hearing or feeling the different, like where they all stand, until I'm looking at one person, and that one person is the person that I need to like address in any capacity. Now, with that said, psychic information as it comes through to me, if I'm in a crowd and I'm not really thinking about it, it feels like thousands of voices talking to me all at the same time. This almost incessant murmur of just stuff coming through that, if I was to slow down and listen to one or two of those voices, I could like make out, but I choose not to. So it's just kind of like this, like, okay, background, like murmur that's happening. And it allows me, again, I know in a previous episode, we talked a little bit about ADHD. It allows me to just accept that it's happening, kind of like somebody that has tinnitus that needs that sound in the background. I have that sound. I have that constant like access to those voices of people that want to deliver a message, want to see their loved ones, want to experience those things, but I'm not consciously going quiet enough to allow it to come through, because if I did, or if I opened myself up to that, I would never be able to leave the house ever.
And it sounds like you are living in the intuitive flow, and the ball cap analogy or metaphor is your boundary.
Absolutely. I don't want to see your shit. I'm good. I have enough.
Yeah.
Shit
Like,
in my
I don't
life.
want I don't want to know about it. I don't want to know.
And when you walk up to me and ask me what the winning lottery tickets are, I want nothing more than to fucking punch you in the face. Like, let's be real.
Again, with the violence, Stacy.
I'm so glad, because when we start out, y'all called me the angry one. It's Stacy now. It's Stacy.
Well, it to me, it's like that one question, and it comes up a lot. A lot of people actually think it's cute and funny to ask a psychic what the winning lottery tickets are. I'm not quite sure why.
I do.
Because
I'll answer it, because I used to be an atheist and I used to have that way of thinking. Well, if you're psychic, then you'd win the lotto. Well, no, I sat down one time with my guides and I said, man, I'd like to win the lotto. And they go, anything's a possibility. And I said, okay, well, show me what it would be like if I won the lottery. And I sat down, I closed my eyes. It's kind of ineffable, but it's an experience. It's like moment to moment, second to second, I'd have to work to stay humble. That is what they were showing me through this experience. And I go, oh, I get it now. I get why it wouldn't be in my best interest. And they were showing me, do you really want that? It's like, oh, no.
Especially when like being humble is such a part of who you are. Like you really attach to that, and that's how you present yourself to the world. So,
and the other
yeah,
piece of this is winning the lottery can change literally everything about your life, and it changes the experiences that we're here for. So when people ask me what the winning lottery tickets, whatever numbers, whatever the frig they are, I don't typically buy them, but whenever they ask me, I'm like, that's not how it works. That's not, even if I could, even if I knew and I went and I played the winning lottery tickets, my guides would be like, no, that's
and I love how we're talking about this, because I have a teenage daughter. She's literally, I literally used to think like that. Literally. Seriously. I'd be like, you're not psychic, you win the lottery. And I think it's very common and normal to have that thought, because I used to think like that. And I wish someone would have described it the way we're describing it to each other on this podcast, because then it would have made sense.
Yeah. I've never had that.
I hope it makes sense for the listeners. You haven't? Oh, I
never have had that thought. Yeah.
I was cynical. I was so cynical.
And I think the other thing that comes up that we kind of touched on is that question of, are you reading me right now? And so I'm going to answer this just a little bit differently. And then I want to hear your thoughts on it, because with me, if I'm meeting you and you and I are having some kind of interaction, I am reading you to determine if I want to continue. Yeah.
And we all read each other.
Yeah.
On an unconscious level. We all.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm reading you to determine if I want to have continued interactions with you. Do you give me that hardcore ick? Are you cool? Because if you're giving me the ick, I don't want to continue to work with you.
And every human being does that. And it's important.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I think when I meet people, it's not that I'm reading what's going on in their life. I'm reading their energy. Like you said, how is this going to interact with my energy? And am I safe? And so it really is all about me in those moments. And I do love when people, just you've met, well, if you're a psychic, what am I thinking right now? And I just want to say to them, you're thinking I'm full of shit and you want me to prove myself. And that doesn't feel very good to me.
Can I piggyback on that?
Yes, you may.
And you know what? We are not entitled to read people's thoughts. I'm sorry. I am not allowed to read your thoughts. Even if you ask me, if it comes through, okay, we'll see. But those are your thoughts. They're sacred. That's your private time.
And I'll even piggyback on that and say that's not how readings work. I don't read your thoughts. I don't read your mind. I'm reading your energy and what your guides and your life experience is telling me in that moment. I don't connect that way. That's just, I've never been able to read someone's mind and step in. And
who would want to read someone's mind?
It would drive me nuts.
That would drive me crazy.
I wouldn't want to read anybody's mind, know what they're thinking. And again, I can pick up on emotions because I'm an empath and they become my own emotions. So if you're having a bad day, I might pick up on that, but I'll just think I'm having a bad day until I can sit with it and sort it out.
And let's be real, I don't even want to read my own fucking mind.
I know we have to listen to that all the time.
Yes, I think that's a great point.
We need a break. Bullshit up here. Like, no, I'm good. Yeah, we
need a break.
Yeah. Even when you're trying to go to sleep, it's talking to you and you're like, shut up. I already know what's going on in my life. I don't need to think about it anymore today. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so for me, I have a lot of visuals. It's energy too. And the intuition, I don't know the clairs as well as Michelle does, but the knowing. Which one is that? Do you know? Putting you on the spot.
Tick, I do know.
Tick. What is it?
Claire. Well, I was waiting for you to ask nicely. It's claircognizance.
Oh.
Claircognizance.
Thank you. Claircognizance. So I have that. That's how I lead with more, is the claircognizance, visuals, and also the feeling and empathy.
The mom and Michelle just came out. I just want to. I'm waiting for you to ask nicely.
Oh my gosh! Yes, you triggered something.
She got spicy for a second.
Spicy.
I've never been called spicy before.
You're being spicy today.
I like that.
I do too. I'm trying to think of what else comes up. I know there have been spaces that I've been in, and my mom introduces me to some people as, this is my daughter and she's a psychic medium. And one of the first things that some people will say is, I don't believe in any of that stuff. So I don't know what your responses are when people approach you like that, but my response is, that's cool. Get on with your bad self. Like, it does not bother me that you don't believe in what I do. You don't have to. Whatever. What do you guys do?
That actually happened this morning in my neighborhood boot camp. Someone started talking about they took their daughters to a paranormal something. It was like a documentary. And I said, oh, they're into that. It should do my podcast. I said, hey, I just want to let you know, I don't want to offend anybody because this podcast is, on a different kind of spirituality, but it also intertwines psychology and other stuff too, and science, neuropsychology we talk about. And everyone was like, oh, cool. Yeah, I want to follow it. So I always want to be respectful. Like, I'm not that kind of person to go around and be like, this is the end all be all. Because it's not. Everybody's on their own path, and we're supposed to be where we're supposed to be.
And this kind of leads into the topic today of being like made fun of because you think differently. But what I'd like to say to that is I filter my information differently. I decide to bring it through my spiritual body and then accept it into my programming and physical body. And it's part of who I am. However, I can read a room. And if I'm in a room full of people who aren't going to buy it, I'm not going to bring up the conversation with you. I'm not going to start talking about this because it'll make you uncomfortable. I don't like being uncomfortable. So you learn to read the room and the audience. But every once in a while, you're taken by surprise, and that's never comfortable.
I always prefer my mom introducing me as a psychic medium because the other introduction I get is, this is my daughter. She has a naked lady on her back.
Your mom, man, she's just taking that one home.
Oh yeah,
she's gonna live it to her grave. She's carrying that one to her grave.
It's hilarious. And then I usually will pull my shirt up to show it off, just to piss her off even more. No, I agree, Michelle. I read the room, and usually I don't bring it up unless I feel that there is space for it. I'm not gonna walk into class and sit down like I working with the military, for example. I'm not going to walk into a meeting and be like, so I just saw your Aunt June outside. Let's talk about that. Like, you don't bring it up if it's not appropriate. And on that same token, like, you can kind of walk those lines to kind of see where people stand. But if you tell me I don't believe in that stuff, I will look at you and be like, cool. Like, that is a choice that you're making. Your belief or disbelief is not going to impact one aspect of my life whatsoever. And then if somebody doesn't react like to my mom that well, she goes, she's a PhD student.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, she's trying to reel it. It's really funny. I love my mom.
I wish she could just lead with that.
Sometimes it depends on her mood.
It depends on her mood.
It really does. She carries my cards everywhere and like gives them out too. It's really funny.
Oh, yeah. That's sweet though.
Yeah.
Sounds a little spicy also.
She is. She's quite spicy.
Yeah. I believe in any given communication, you can find common ground. And if there's something that isn't comfortable for either person, you stay away from that and talk about something else.
Sometimes when people say I don't believe in that stuff, it's because of their ingrained belief system. So sometimes it can actually start a beautiful conversation about, them, their history, their past and stuff like that. I know one woman that was like, I don't believe in that stuff. I sat down with her and I was like, well, talk to me about that. Like, I just out of curiosity, it wasn't picking a fight. And she said, I was raised Catholic. And I went, hey, so was I. And then, you get the backpedaling thing of well, now I don't know what to say because now we've got common ground, right? Like now you actually know where I'm coming from. And I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not necessarily accepted in certain religions, but I will say the Catholic faith is known for exorcisms.
Oh, that's true.
I was just going to say, I love that you put words kind of to where I was going. You just are respectful about it. If someone comes to me, and it happened to me when I was just back home visiting someone, said, I don't get all this, but I'm not going to say it's not happening because I believe in you. So let's have the conversation and be respectful about it. I'm completely open to that. And if at the end of the conversation, we're still not connecting there, let's move on to something else.
Yeah. And I think, I'll also throw out there that my husband's been very helpful to me with this because he doesn't understand it. I remember taking him on a clearing that I did, and we went to dinner, and I may have shared this in an earlier podcast, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but we sat down at dinner and he was really chewing on something, and I could tell it was bothering him. And he finally said, "You know what, Stacy, I know you did something, but I don't understand what you did. And I didn't feel anything. And I just don't understand it." And I looked at him and I said, "I am so grateful that you were there and you were able to experience it that, at any sort of level, but you don't have to understand it. You just have to trust that, I was able to help some people." And he was like, "Okay." And he was cool with that.
I was raised Baptist, and then I went Lutheran, got confirmed, did the whole confirmation thing with Lutheran. And when I got into, I think, my early 30s and late 20s, early 30s, I became an atheist just because I ended up getting my degree in psychology, and we're all about breaking down illusions. And I feel like it was really important for me to go through so I can empathize and understand why some people are more science-based versus religious or spiritual. So I thought it was a great experience too. And again, there's no right, wrong, good or bad. We're on this podcast we're not here saying, "Oh, our way is the right way. You're the dumb person." No, we are all here having experience. We're not saying this is the be all end all.
And we're here to
Right.
learn from one another too. And it can be a really
Mhm.
fun and enlightening conversation for everyone.
And going back to everything that we've talked about here, and I've shared this on a previous podcast, for me, coming out as a psychic medium to people in my everyday life has been really challenging. When we started this podcast, I knew the people I could invite to listen or to one of our social media accounts, and I knew the people I couldn't. And so I just left it there for anyone to find. And a couple people who are friends in real life have found the podcast, and I've heard a couple comments made, and I'm thinking that's exactly why I didn't tell you about it, because it's not a joke. I'm not a witch. Not that there would be anything wrong with that if I were. Everybody's entitled to their religion and how they want to approach things. I do believe in God. Not that anybody needs to know my beliefs, but it just really, when people come at it with respect, it's one thing. And when they come at it, like kind of making fun of you or trying to find a way to like make fun of you about it, that just doesn't feel good. And I don't know how to deal with it.
Well, and I think what you're saying is one of the conversations that I think that we've had recently is, just don't be a douche. Have a conversation, be open.
And hurt people. So if they're
Absolutely.
hearing this, and that it's easier to make fun of versus question their path, that's the route they're going to take. And so, like I
Absolutely.
say, we can't ever take anything personal. Whenever we're triggered, it has nothing to do with the other person. It has to do with our stuff.
Absolutely.
So you're
And
saying I need to
stepping
do some
back.
shadow work, inner child work about it. No, that I need to, because I'm the one reacting to them
Oh,
questioning
yeah.
me.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're triggered, then that's just some inner child
Well,
work.
and I'll throw out there, Michelle, you're not the only one that's going to be triggered by these things. Like I said, and I joke when I say, like, when people ask me for the winning lottery tickets, like I immediately want to punch them in the face. That's not really the truth. Like it's definitely one of those things that comes up often enough that it just annoys me. But it took me a really long time to figure out how to be okay with people telling me that they felt like I was full of shit. And that's kind of when somebody says, "Yeah, I don't believe in all that stuff," they're telling you that they think you are full of shit. That's I don't care whether you believe in the spiritual realm or not. That's how it really does come across. So whenever you step into that, I look at it as this, like, am I going to allow them to impact how I feel about me when they don't even really know me on any level other than, "Hey, my name is Stacy." Huh. I'm meeting you for like what the third, fourth time in passing. Like, no, I am not going to question your belief system. And if you're that open and willing to share that you don't believe in mine, to me, it's more of a message of who you are as a person. And so I don't get upset anymore because you are speaking to yourself and you are telling me that you kind of might suck because
Or
you're
they're
not
just
open to have the
scared.
conversation.
But going back to that conversation, I don't know if I shared at the beginning of this episode or the last episode, where the woman was telling me how it had to be when I did a reading and that I was doing it wrong. She did push on my triggers because I don't want people
Well,
to
she
think
sucked. I'm
She
going to go
did
with
suck.
Stacy on that. She sucked.
But it is an insecurity that people are going to think I'm lying or that I'm fake because, this is so new to me. I've always had experiences, but I haven't really jumped into it for longer than about
Right.
4 years. So
And
it's
this
all
is
new.
important. And this is important for the listeners because for me, I was kind of always interested, but my first thing that happened didn't happen until I was 17. And then I shut it down, became an atheist, and then it opened up. And there's a lot of people like you and me who do that kind of stuff. And so it's really important for us all. Like Stacy, she's been open to it since she can remember, right? And we don't have to be that person where it's like, I was psychic from day one. Like, it's really important to see how we're all different and how we manage our lives.
And I shut it down for a while too myself because I got scared. I did. I stepped into some fear. And so I didn't read. I probably shut it down when I was 16 and didn't read again until I was in my like early 20s. So yeah, I've been a reader since I was 13, but not in the capacity that I was constantly doing it. But the other thing, Michelle, the other thought that you both are triggering in me is this idea that readings have to be a certain way, that they're always going to enlighten you in some capacity, or that they're always going to give you the answers to all of your questions. Because I will be so honest and tell you some of the worst readings that I have ever given, that I sat back after that reading and went, what the fuck? Like, what? Like, nothing good came through. Like, I don't understand. This person is sitting in front of me. They paid for a reading and I fucking suck. And those readings are the ones that always come through. And I get messages within a week or two going, you changed everything. Like everything that you
were
said
doing
exactly
something energetically too.
Yep. Well, and it's interesting though, because I don't always like,
you're not aware.
Yep. But I don't know what's going to hit and what's not going to hit. And because of that, it's all so different that, I always worry. I don't want somebody to pay for a reading and then sit in front of them and go, there's nothing coming through, because information is always coming through. But sometimes I hit that wall, and that wall is what I need to be focused on. And that's what the reading is about. And so it's all very, very different. It's very different. Sorry. That was a little tangent.
Well, yeah, because there's no reading the same. Like if I have someone they go, and I say, if you go tell a friend, it's going to come out differently. I've had connection sessions where they felt their loved one energetically versus seeing them. It's all different. I've had some where they're connecting with them and they're getting answers about what they should do with their life. Then I had some where they're just sitting with them. It's no right. There's no same way. I think that was awesome to bring that up. It's a good point.
I think it's a great point also. And just know we're human. I mean, we're having our human experience. And while we get a lot of information, we're not 100%. I mean, even in our day-to-day life, in interactions where I'm meeting somebody or I've known somebody for 20 years, sometimes I make a mistake too and thinking like, oh, I can trust you with this and not. So I'm not always spot on, and I don't ever claim to be. I'm just doing the best I can to make a difference in the world around me. And I think that's what I need to focus on. I need to shut down the noise of the people who are doubting it, because I know what my intentions are. The universe knows what my intentions are. And that's where my focus needs to be. And I've just taught myself something new right here in this moment, taught myself something new.
Yeah. And like Stacy said, intuition is always there. Remember, along we have a consciousness, we have intuition. The light is always on. Mm-hmm. But if we're always tapping in, you're going to go crazy, man. You're going to go crazy.
Well, and the example that I used about having those million voices essentially around me, if I was always tapping in, I don't know if I could have any normal human interactions. I wouldn't be able to do this podcast because there's too much noise. There's too much information flowing through. So I want to enjoy the human life as well. I want to, roll around in the mud. I don't fucking know. I don't have an example. I don't even know why that was the one that I pulled. I want to get out there.
Metaphorically roll in
Yeah.
the mud, I guess.
Yeah. I want to be able to like enjoy the small human moments. I don't want to walk into a party or a surprise party and know that it's going to be a surprise party. Like I want to be able to enjoy those things. It doesn't work because my husband can't keep his mouth shut, and he has done a surprise party for me in the past and invited somebody like 5 feet behind me to come to the surprise party. So he totally gave it away, but that's human. So that's fine. But I want to be able to enjoy living. I want to be able to, have those small moments. So tapping in constantly it would ruin that.
Yeah.
Right.
And I love when I'm genuinely surprised because it doesn't happen often and it's nobody's fault. I just am not often surprised. And every night in my faith talk, I say, I want to be present for the lessons, both the good lessons and the bad lessons, because everything teaches me something and then I can help somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't allow myself to have those experiences, if I'm concentrated too much on everybody else's stuff, then I'm losing out on my own experience.
Absolutely. I agree
Love
with that
it.
wholeheartedly.
Mhm.
So can you guys give me the winning lottery numbers?
Yeah.
21.
Can I have them?
32. No, I'm kidding. I have no idea.
8, 52, 1.
Niner.
I've never even played the lottery ever.
I don't even know how many numbers they're supposed to go. So whoever wants
Neither
it,
do
y'all
I.
can try
So
it.
we'll just throw random numbers out there. No.
If you
Well, before-
win, send us donate to our
Obviously.
podcast.
Yeah. Before we wrap up this episode, I do want to say in the next couple weeks, a couple of us are going to a haunted location. And I'm bringing this up, because we're recording this early. So our next podcast after this one will actually be about our experience there. We'll share where we went, but I'm still battling with a little bit of the fear, and the place already knows it because it's starting to seep in. It's getting through my protection right now, and I'm already having experiences. So yeah, send me good vibes.
Gonna be
All of them.
interesting. And if you all listeners like it, we're gonna do another one and go to the East Coast with Stacy. So chime in.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna video some stuff too. So chime in on Instagram,
Yeah.
YouTube, comments, all that kind of stuff. Let us know.
And if you guys are listening and you know of a good place in the East Coast, I mean, let us know. Let us know if you own, want to open up to us. Like we're here. I mean, I'm in New Hampshire, so Maine, New Hampshire, Mass, Vermont, anywhere, I'm gonna drag them up here and show them around. So
yeah, if
let
y'all have
us know.
seen it on TV, of a place, tell us.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, be sure to check out our social media too, because we're going to be taking some video, maybe some audio recordings. We don't know how this experience is going to go. We're open to the possibilities.
You guys are gonna have so much fun.
I'm not staying the night. You would
Yeah.
definitely stay the night, Stacy, but no,
Oh, in
I'm
a
already
heartbeat.
picking up. I'm already picking up though, like when I was in my meditation, like they were showing me about some stuff and I was like, oh, that's a little dark, but also immediately too, I'm very sensitive with food, environment, smoke. I don't know if it's dust or mold in that house, but I'm not staying the night.
Well, when you tap into what it is, let us know if it's like a health concern or risking our health at all.
Oh, I mean, one night's not going to be a big deal. I think with mold exposure, I think it has to be like I'm sure a while staying in the house. But for me, I'm very
you guys
sensitive.
are gonna have fun though.
It'll be
come on.
interesting.
Come on, Stacy.
I can't. You guys literally just gave me the date a week ago, and I start school next.
Well, I
week.
wasn't going to go. Remember, I wasn't going to go. I was like, I'm not going. I'm going to
Yeah.
stay in the night. And then she called. She's like, well, we got a hotel. And I'm like, fine.
Yeah. And then your immediate response to the hotel is, they probably have bed bugs. So Miss Killjoy here, every step of the way.
It's in a small town and it is a brand new hotel, thank goodness. But it's just like a motel kind of place. Look at Stacy, see?
We're going to have lots of spiritual experiences and human experiences.
And
with
no
the different
bed bugs.
personalities and no bed bugs. And it's going to be all positive.
You guys are gonna have a blast. So I guess with that we can close out this episode. So I'll say Stay classy.
Stay sassy.
Stay spicy or badassy. Until next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Love you all.